Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming today. First and foremost, I want to thank Commissioner Carter and the work of the entire Harrisburg Bureau of Police for their tireless work over the weekend. Sadly, though, incidents like these are happening way too often. Today, I'm heartbroken, but I'm also angry, and I'm more committed than ever before to end the issue of gun violence in our city. 2 people senselessly lost their lives this weekend. 2 families are without a son and a daughter. And why? For what? The shooting on South 16th Street on Sunday didn't need to happen, just like the shootings across the city this weekend. Didn't need to happen either. And the weekend before that, and the weekend before that. Commissioner Carter and his team are actively searching for the person responsible for Sunday's shooting and murders. They believe this was a target incident, and because of that, I want to assure the public and the people of this great city that you are not in danger. However, the person who did this, we will find you, and you will be held accountable for this brutal act of violence. Change needs to happen in this city of Harrisburg, and my administration, along with my police force, we cannot do anything without the greater Harrisburg community. If you want to end this senseless gun violence, we need you to speak up. If you see something, say something. We need your help. You can submit a tip anonymously online through the Harrisburg Police Crime Watch portal or by calling Harrisburg Police at 717-558-6900. I want to finish by saying the city has some of the best people, some of the best police officers, and our best days are ahead of us. It won't always be easy, but the greatest accomplishments never are. We will work together to ensure weekends like this never happen again. Thank you all for coming. Commissioner Carter.
Thank you, Mayor. I can stand here and talk to you about the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of handguns and rifles that we've taken off of our city streets. I can stand here and tell you about all of the countless meetings that we went to about stopping the violence. I can tell you about all of the conversations that we had with citizens about stopping the violence. But the violence will not stop until everybody, every responsible person in this city takes an active role. I echo what the mayor said. These were senseless shootings. These were targeted incidents, but they were senseless shootings. And I can have a police officer on every corner and we'll still have shootings because we cannot predict when a shooting is going to happen. We cannot predict when violence is going to happen. The only thing that we can do right now is respond in a positive manner, give aid to the victims, that being stopping a sunken chest wound, that being stopping somebody's brains from seeping out of their head, that being from trying to comfort family members, that being riding to a local hospital with the victims trying to take a dying declaration from them. My police officers are working and working and working and showing compassion to people trying to stop this violence, but it's a holistic approach that we need. We cannot do it by ourselves. I echo the same thing that every police commissioner or police chief or public safety director echoes throughout the country. We need the help of the citizens to stop this violence. I'm up here with Captain Terry Whelan. He's going to outline the incidents that happened this past weekend. Then we'll be open for questions. Captain.
Thank you, sir. Madam Mayor. Good afternoon. I'm going to take it back here to Friday evening, March 11th, about 5 p.m. Harrisburg Police Patrol units were dispatched to the 900 block of North 19th Street in reference to shots being fired at a residence. Upon arrival, the victim, who was unharmed during this incident, he stated he observed an individual later identified as Freddy's Pimentel. I could spell that. It's Freddy's, F-R-E-D-Y-S, Pimentel, P-I-M-E-N-T-E-L. He's a 74-year-old gentleman. He was seated in a car for an extended period of time out in front of the victim's house. And upon the victim questioning this gentleman as to why he was there for such a long period of time, Mr. Pimentel proceeded to open fire at the residence. He then drove away. Responding officers discovered Mr. Pimentel in his vehicle a short time later, a couple blocks away, and he was the victim of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound to his head. There's been no established connection between Mr. Pimentel and the victim, and to this moment we're totally unsure as to why it happened. We'd be assuming if we were able to say anything about that. Taking it up to Saturday, early morning, about 3:25 in the a.m., Harrisburg Police Patrol units were dispatched to the area of North 2nd and State Streets in the downtown area in reference to shots being fired at that location. Upon arrival, they discovered an adult male with a gunshot wound. This victim was subsequently transported to a local hospital and later listed in stable condition. Another adult male gunshot victim walked into a local hospital during the initial investigation, and this victim stated he was involved in the altercation that took place downtown and later up at North 6th and Schuylkill Streets. He was subsequently listed in stable condition as well. Upon locating that scene up at 6th and Schuylkill, investigating officers were approached by yet a third adult male gunshot victim. He was transported to a local hospital where he was subsequently listed in stable condition. Even though there wasn't a lot of cooperation from the victims, significant progress has been made in identifying the perpetrators of this crime. On Saturday the 12th at about 19:30 hours, a 17-year-old male gunshot victim walked into one of our local hospitals. He was totally uncooperative and would not provide information as to where he was shot. That victim was also listed in stable condition. Talking about our latest homicide, on the 13th of March at about 16:38 hours, Harrisburg Police Patrol units were dispatched to 28 South 16th Street in reference to 2 people being shot. Upon arrival, the officers discovered the adult victims, Sean Hairston, 35 years old, and Anna Scott, 42 years old. Unfortunately, both victims succumbed to their injuries. Please note this is a very active and ongoing investigation at this time. We have detectives and officers working on it as we speak. Anyone with information, like Madam Mayor said, is asked to contact Dauphin County Dispatch at 717-558-6900 and ask for the city police, or they can contact Detective Ed Powell, who's our lead investigator for this homicide. His number is area code 717-255-3182. He can also be reached by email at epowell, I'll spell that, E-P-O-W-E-L-L at harrisburgpa.gov. Tips can also be submitted through our Crime Watch portal, and these tips can be anonymous. Spelling the victims in the homicide, sure. Sean, S-H-A-W-N, Hairston, H-A-I-R-S-T-O-N. He was 35 years old, and Anna Scott, A-N-A-S-C-O-T-T. She was 42 years old. You're welcome. Sure.
We can take a few questions.
Chief, Commissioner, a question for you, sir. Captain Whelan talked about that lack of cooperation. I know that's frustrating for police. Where does that come from? Is that some sort of a, don't want to be a rat, or some sort of a badge of courage when these young people, they know who shot them, but it's a back and forth type thing, maybe addressing the beef? How do you guys deal with that when there's no cooperation? Does that pretty much mean that that case is over? And where does that stem from?
Anytime there's a felony, the case is never over with. The investigation is still open. It'll always be open. A couple of the incidents from this past weekend, they were targeted incidents because these people know each other. I just want to say this, and I'm sure I'll be criticized about it later on, but Harrisburg is too small to be out here robbing people, then everybody end up at the same club, because you know that something's going to take place. And that's essentially what happens. So I hope I answered your question, sir.
Why would somebody not tell you or Captain Whelan who shot?
I guess because they're looking for street justice.
Commissioner, you hear every once in a while some people saying they think law enforcement should be doing more. You talked, though, about the fact that you have found one every corner, and that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to stop shootings from happening. Can you sort of address what some people have said? They say, hey, we want to see more from law enforcement, we want to see more visibility, but you kind of indicated that a lot of these incidents are very specific to specific people, and it's not just wide-ranging crime.
Yes, you know, we could have cops everywhere, but for some reason, these guys have beef. For some reason, you know, they're going to plan out doing something and they're going to do it. It's just ridiculous. It's just senseless because it's an issue that is facing the whole country right now, just not Harrisburg. This is nationwide. So, you know, it's a hurt piece because we live in the capital city here. Harrisburg is a beautiful city, a lot of resources. We know people that want to come in here to even make Harrisburg a better place to live. Their Mayor Williams and her staff are trying to upgrade the school systems, you know, just trying to make this an overall better place to live for the citizens here. But until we get cooperation from everybody, it will never happen.
You mentioned these are targeted incidents, but to that point, what's the risk of bystanders? What's the risk of people who, you know, I think we've had incidents the past year where that's happened. Somebody who's just in the wrong spot.
Yes, that's very true. And these people are not experts when it comes to handling guns or anything like that. So, you know, there's a small possibility of, you know, somebody, a bystander, you know, getting hurt. But for the most part, when these people have shootouts, they're as close as me and the captain right here, maybe a bit farther back, but they walk right up on them.
You mentioned that you could have a police officer on every corner. Obviously, that's not possible. What steps is the department taking to try and combat some of this violence?
As you know, we then collaborated with the state, county, and the federal governments. We're out here doing things every day. PSP is in here. They're running their little details. The AG's office, they're running their details here. We've taken hundreds and hundreds of guns off the street, you know, but it seems, you know, like, you know, there's a lot more guns out there, so there's a lot more work for us to do right now. You know, we're not going to give up. We're not going to quit. We're going to keep pushing forward, and hopefully, you know, what we're doing, you know, will eventually have an impact on things.
Could you answer the question, what is street justice? And how are you going to combat that?
Street justice, for my definition, is when two people have a beef and they decide to settle it without calling the cops, police. And as far as us combating that, you know, we don't know who's all beefing, you know, and so it's virtually impossible for us to respond or to stop everything that is going on because we have no idea and people are not telling us.
Do we have any description, any details of any of these suspects, specifically maybe the double homicide that the public should know? Have you guys gotten any tips, any leads?
We have some tips. I'll let Captain Whelan address that.
Being that all these investigations that I talked about are still active and ongoing, I'm not really at liberty to give out any kind of suspect information. I know for a fact that there was a tip that had just came in this morning. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. I'm sure our investigative team has. I've had to get ready to come down here, so I haven't been able to look at it. But we are getting information, though. It starts to come in. That's just typically how it happens.
And did the double homicide, did that happen in an area where there were cameras or anything? Do we not know that yet?
They're up there figuring that out right now.
We'll take one or two more questions.
Commissioner, you said that these were targeted, I guess, actions here. And I was wondering if there's any suspicion that they are connected, these separate instances from over the weekend.
I really can't get into that because there's evidence that that's possible. I know the one victim has been into other incidents throughout the city here, so I really can't get into that.